2013's first quarter of unemployment rate, 25%. 2009's voter participation rate, 56%. Educated black people in this country, 35%. But statistics are not known to touch people's hearts, and they are thus arguably less likely to inspire social change. But stories can. And such, here's two personal stories.
On my recent visit home, I came across a pair of my old school shoes. And I noticed something about these shoes that for 12 years I had been walking with shoes that had holes underneath, which took me back to the times when I used to journey to school, especially those cold and rainy days which made traveling to school the most devastating ordeal. I mean, the 5-kilometer walk from the station to my school, those journeys in the crowded trains, made me from a young age listen to my whispers. I mean, you can imagine growing up in a home in a township like Soweto, where there's an uneducated black mother and a jobless father. I learned from a very young age to listen to my whispers. And I saw those holes not as a sign of poverty, but I saw those holes as a symbol of the journey that I have traveled, as some sort of victory that I had triumphed over the long journey that I had taken. The very same whispers that were once said by my father, that it is often choice and not circumstance which determines your outcome. And it is this very same whispers that have allowed me to echo my whispers into unimaginable decibels of wisdom.
My name is Siyabonga Njika, and I was born and bred in the dusty streets of Gugulethu. Growing up, my life has been plagued with burdens and constraints. From losing my father at the tender age of 11, to my mother not being able to find my fees during the dark days of high school. As the son of a prisoner and uneducated black mother, as a descendant of democracy and recipient of the hereafter, I but overcame the shackles of township life and reached new heights through the multiple messages embedded in poetry. See, when literature and sound join forces, a melting pot of art in its finest form is born. One which subconsciously awakens the mind of the listeners. One which subconsciously awakens the mind of youth.
Dear Liberation, for many moons now I've been trying to recite in sign language because actions speak louder than words. A lineage of fathers who weren't themselves fathered, married single mothers, the inheritance you left behind is a heritage of mixed mongrel minds. I mean, what does a South African even look like? Dear Liberation, King Nova, many sunsets ago, once said that all this country has ever done is break our hearts. But Liberation, you've never been interested. Unless we could turn those sunsets into gold, while Anglo-American takes our gold and in tiny ring-shaped chunks sells it back to us, selling us milk from our own cows. Is this your negotiated settlement? Dear Liberation, South Africa is no more. You birthed me into the kingdom of Nelson Utata Mandela. Mandela Bay, Mandela Square, Mandela Metro University, Mandela Day, Mandela Garden Court Boulevard, Mandela Golden Coins and banknotes. My siblings don't even know of Sobukwe, Lutuli, Tambo or Biko, but believe that Mandela founded this nation with his Mandela Foundation. Is this your negotiated settlement? Dear Liberation, lately I've been writing my poems by the light of my lit cigarette. Because Liberation, sometimes I feel it though.
Si chige sabona bafa mama theni behleli pha theni bepha yonke mihla wathi mama funda mntana funda mntana nabaya belinde isendi kubasi namhlanje basebenze kanzima kodwa ayashintsha lutho nongajuluka umile kulipolo wathi mama funda mntana funda mntana
This is about the conversations back home. Conversations around the dinner table where an unemployed father of four would tell tales from the pages of old scriptures about a man that was crucified so that we may find salvation. A man that now dwells in the corners of our yearning souls. See, the only paycheck my father ever brought home was a paycheck filled with 1,000 dreams, initialed with the words faith, signed with a pen that had the blood of Christ for ink. Memories of a mother who did not receive an education prior to 94, walking through the front door with a plastic bag filled with promises. See, I was born into a family of dreamers. My mother once told me that I could turn an empty plate into a plate filled with 1,000 prayers to feed 1,000 families if I closed my eyes hard enough. Call us superheroes. They were never given an opportunity to fly because society had tried to bury the billion stars embedded on our faces with the mask of poverty.
Dear Mother, I will conscientize our people. I will instill in their minds a philosophy of freedom unequal to the rewritten scriptures of force-fed religion. Dear Mother, I will heed our children into believing that the color black is only a pigment of skin and not a restriction that deprives one from attaining their seemingly intangible dream. I will make dreamers from the marginalized and weaker. Because my calling is to bridge boundaries between my people and their perishing history. Found vacant spaces in conversations about colonization, heritage, and democracy. My calling is to inculcate the youth from grassroots to emancipation from mental slavery. To radical for the privilege that I have as Stephen Bantu Biko of the 21st century. This is a state of emergency address.
Fundam danam. Learn, my child. See, sometimes it is possible to inspire individuals, not through direct command, to inspire social change through subtle messages. Whispers in conversations, whispers in body language, whispers in music. And today, you've just had a whisper. Thank you.